All right, back to it now. Only a couple of days until Christmas. Glad to have you here in this Christmas season. My next guest, Hunter Gaylor, is a board member of the New Journey PAC. This spending bill, we're going to talk about it for a moment. Hunter, glad to have you here on the program.
Well, it's good to be here, Steve. Thanks for always a pleasure to be here.
Well, thank you so much. Look, this thing was 1,547 pages. I ran into a few members of Congress. I was in D.C. on Friday, and coming back Saturday, ran into a few members of Congress, a couple of Republicans, Bill Heising among them, said, yeah, we got it down to like 117 pages from 1,547. Said it's not perfect, but it's a lot better than where they had us going, right, which was right off the cliff. How do you think this bill affects the new Trump administration heading into the new year?
Well, look, Trump wasn't happy with it. He came out and said, look, cutting it down to 116 pages, fine, that's all good, but it still didn't eliminate the debt ceiling. And that was the one thing that Trump wanted. So I think going in, I think it shows just from an overall strategic analysis of it, the power and influence that Elon Musk has had over the administration and government in general by calling people out, especially the Democrats. I mean, I know he came out and he said that he would primary certain Dems and donate to Dems to get out the radical ones. So
he did.
It's definitely setting a tone. It's definitely setting a tone for how the new administration is gonna act.
Yeah, let me ask you this: there's a whole bunch of people all over social media saying, "Oh, President Musk and Donald Trump is his lackey, basically." And come on, they have a pure hatred for Elon Musk. Not for people on the other side that spend piles of money supporting Democrats. But man, Elon Musk comes along, supports Republicans, supports Donald Trump, and he's the most hated man in the world now. Of course, being the richest man in the world probably makes you hated by default by some people. But Elon Musk has proven, and I don't know if he's a conservative, but he's proven that he's a guy who's into, support free speech, support Donald Trump, support getting rid of radical elements in politics. Pretty important stuff, isn't it?
Absolutely. And, for all of the criticism, they always, this is like child's play. They do this in kindergarten, right? In middle school. The bullies always bully people and call them names of what they actually are. And that's what the Democrats do. They hate him because of the money that he donated to Trump and he's involved. But look at what the guy's accomplished. I was talking to some colleagues the other day and they said, well, he's not even from the United States. It's like, well, I would rather have someone like Elon Musk in our country doing the thing that he's doing to protect the interests of our national security and keep the foundational principles of our Constitution, as opposed to these radical, extreme, communist, dictator Democrats that are out there that are trying to destroy this country and fundamentally change it.
Well, and they are trying to destroy the country and fundamentally change it, but it's the rejection across the board is quite telling you. The Biden administration pulled back, by the way, a rule that would have made men participating in women's sports the law of the land. And they pulled back from that here just a couple of days ago. You see them pulling back from 1,500 pages of garbage or 1,600 pages when you put in all the extras to 120 pages or less. I mean, it's a step forward. It seems to me, Hunter, that Joe Biden's already quit the presidency. He's not there. I mean, apparently he signed this bill. Nobody saw him do it. There's a signature on it. I guess it's his. Who knows anymore, right? But I know that Donald Trump is going to be president in, 28 days. But right now, it just feels like Donald Trump's basically already assumed the post in many ways.
Well, I mean, can you imagine for 1 second, just for all of the viewers out there, you take a book, essentially this big of papers. You saw the photo on social media, and you cut it down to what's normal. Think of the waste of paper. I mean, not to make it elementary, but think about how many times they've printed the 1,500 pages, and they're sending it around and all the paper. I mean, I worked in Washington. I was an intern for Senator Rubio, and I remember stacks of papers I'm like, this is, even I knew at the time that this is actually wasteful. And so, I mean, even on an elementary level, when you look at it like that, economically, I hope we have real serious government efficiency. And I'm glad that Trump is setting up this kind of third-party Doge, Department of Government Efficiency with Vivek and Elon. They're real business people. They've accomplished real things in industry. And if we can apply that same level of free enterprise system inside of our own government, This is a very large bureaucracy, and we need to cut down the bureaucracy and red tape, because that's what's going to allow people like me that run very large companies, or investors, or entrepreneurs, to actually get things done in this country, because we're eliminating the red tape and the bureaucracy and the pork barrel spending. So cutting it down to 116 pages, I hope, is a call to action for what we're going to see in Washington over the next 4 years.
I hope you're right, Hunter, because we need to get this thing under control. Look, we're spending so much on interest. So removing the debt ceiling seems to be, in opposition to what we're talking about here. But in order to get things under control, you have to have the ability, the flexibility to go up and then come back down. That's the way I take this. I don't want a $40 trillion debt, or 45 or 50. We want to get it to whatever we need to get to and then bring it back the other way. That's the real plan to save America. I'll give you the last word.
Well, Warren Buffett, who I watched tremendously and has followed for a very long time, was on CNBC, and he had a very, he says, I could solve the debt problem tomorrow. And he says, you just pass a bill that says if the debt is more than 3% of the GDP, then every sitting member of Congress is ineligible for re-election. And I guarantee you, if you had that type of thinking inside the current administration or Congress, you would absolutely solve these problems. They're just, at the end of the day, the saying was absolutely correct. America is only good until people realize that they can vote themselves to Treasury. And that's what we're seeing happen with the Democrats. So Trump needs to come in. He needs to come in, and he needs to just start wiping these people out, because we need real leadership back in the office. We need real leadership back in Congress. And the American people should wake up, Steve, and say, look, I'm calling my congressman, because this is waste, fraud, and abuse at a level that we've never seen before.
Very true. Fact of the matter is, any democracy fails. True democracies fail because people do figure out after a period of time they can vote themselves into the Treasury, and then it's all over. Hunter Gaylor, board member, New Journey PAC, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Steve.
Greatly appreciated. All right. Still to come today, Dr. Steve Turley will be here. He's always fun to talk to. Marine Corps Colonel Bill Dunn will be here as well. A lot to cover here today at the Steve Gruber Show. Glad to have you on board. I'll be right back.